You are Locked On MLB Crossover, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
Yes, indeed. Hello and welcome to the Locked On Dodgers postcast, Locked On Phillies postcast. We're on the Locked On Sports LA and Philadelphia YouTube channel, the place to hang out when every game is done. And you can also listen wherever you find your podcasts on the Locked On Dodgers and Phillies podcast network. I am Pete Fox. This was another thing that I was criticized in my report about, Mark. I need to mention my credentials more. And I'll do that first, and then you mention yours. I covered sports in LA dating back to 2007. I worked for both ESPN LA and NBC Sports Radio and a variety of other radio stations, but those two in LA. So that's why you should listen to me when it comes to breaking down the Dodgers, because we do it right after the game. Now you go. What is your list of accomplishments, Mark?
Well, Pete, just like you, I am a huge deal in my market. But I radio, TV, almost 20 years. I can't even believe it. In the Philadelphia market, WIP 97.5 The Fanatic, NBC Sports Philadelphia. Technically, I'm a former American Idol contestant and a Harlem Globetrotter. Technically, media games count if you count those. And I've once flown on an F-16 as a passenger. So other than that, I'm just a happy camper today because the Phillies actually decided to play some good baseball. How about that?
Yes. Kind of surprising. I don't follow the Phils except when the Dodgers match up against them. I was surprised to learn yesterday that after last night's game, they had lost 8 of 10. I was like, this team lost 8 of 10. Wow. That is interesting and not something I expected from them because they were playing hot ball the last time we saw them and they kicked the crap out of the Dodgers. So the series win for the Dodgers in Oakland, although it's the A's and they're not very good. They lost to the White Sox today. I still felt like it was necessary and helpful to try to find some momentum. Dodgers came out last night, motivated, interested, playing with some desire to win the game. And it turned out well. There wasn't a whole lot to complain about last night. They scored runs. They pitched well. The bullpen came in. Everything looked good to start this series for the Dodgers. And then I was like, well, is this because the Phillies are, tanking right now? Or did the Dodgers play well? Obviously, it could be a little bit of both. But I do think the Dodgers played well last night. Coming into tonight, not a lot of faith in Clayton Kershaw after his last outing. But I thought some of our guys in the chat had confidence that he would come out and be good again tonight. And I said, yeah, he's definitely better at Dodger Stadium than on the road. And that held true. He pitched very well, I thought, early on. He had nice break on his curveball. The slider was working. He was dotting the fastball. It all seemed to be going okay for him until it wasn't. But hey, what do we get? 4 2/3 or something like that? I think that's a win right there for the Dodgers to get that out of Clayton Kershaw. The bigger problem for the Dodgers was the offense. They couldn't manage hardly anything off of Sanchez. 5 hits, but only 1 run because they were awful with runners in scoring position. So your guy Sanchez had a nice game. What was your thought?
Well, yeah, we've been waiting for Cristopher Sanchez. His last start allowed 7 runs. Needed to see him come out and be more along the lines of the ace that we saw in the first half of the season. The guy that just squeaked into his first All-Star game to make his first All-Star appearance in this past All-Star game. Great to see that. He got the contract extension earlier in the season. A lot of people are happy about that. But really, ever since, a lot of inconsistencies throughout the Phillies bullpen. So most recently, in the Phillies' 2 wins, because now all of a sudden they're 2 games over 500 in their last 3 games, which I never thought would be a brag for the Philadelphia Phillies. But as of right now, it is. Zach Wheeler goes out there in Seattle and absolutely dominates the Mariners. Then you have Aaron Nola struggle a little bit yesterday. Not great, certainly not even a quality start last night for the Phils, but they needed Cristopher Sanchez to go out there and give you 6 strong innings, and he certainly was able to do that using all his pitches again. You saw changeups from him tonight, helping to keep guys off balance. The splitter, he started working in a little bit more. Very pleased by what I saw from him. And whenever and every baseball fan, this goes for every baseball fan, whenever you are seeing 2 pitchers that are just dealing in the early goings of games, you're just waiting to see who the first guy is that's going to crack. And in all honesty, I had confidence in Cristopher Sanchez. He was going to go in tonight, pitch a good game against the Dodgers. I didn't expect him to be that in control, but boy, he was in control. But I was looking at this Phillies lineup for the way they were attacking Clayton Kershaw, especially in the early goings of the game. That first inning, you have Kyle Schwarber go up there. He works a 2-2 count, strikes out, and a curveball inside. Then Trey Turner takes 3 pitches. Bryce Harper takes 1. And I'm thinking, like, they know he's coming back from shoulder surgery, right? Like, it's only his 3rd start, and we're gonna have one of these games where we're just attacking Clayton Kershaw. And he kept attacking the strike zone, and the Phillies, they kept on being aggressive. That didn't wane really as the game went on. So as far as the pitching went and the approach went tonight for the Phillies, as the game went on, I only thought it got better and better. Oh, and one last thing I do have to say on last night's game. Far be it from me to say anything nice about LA and the Dodgers and all that stuff, but Dodgers fans, I shouted you out last night on my postcast. That was class act all the way for Freddy Freeman, and prayers up to Freddy Freeman's family, obviously, for what they've had to go through recently, and a full recovery for Max. Prayers up for that.
Yeah, that definitely got me choked up. I'm not I'm not going to sit here and say I don't get choked up all the time, whether it's real sporting event or movies about sporting events. I always get choked up, but that one got me pretty quick when Freddie took off his helmet and, it looked like he was about ready to lose it. He said he looked over at his dad and his dad was about ready to lose it. And, we were all like, whoa, this is really cool, but not the greatest way to get fired up to start a game, but tonight he came out and doubled right away in the first inning. Of course, was stranded there. So, off to a good start, then kind of went south from there tonight. But, still working his way back. And I think it's been good, yesterday and today. So far, so good. The thing that last night worked well for them was they held Schwarber down. They held Trey Turner down. They held Bryce Harper down. They held Baum down. He singled in the 8th or the 9th. But that would not be the case tonight. 14 hits for the Phils. And I heard something like that. It's the first time they had that many hits in a long time. 13 games, something like that. So, yeah, they definitely got the bats going. And even when the Dodgers threatened a little bit in the 8th or the 9th, rather. No, it was the 8th. When was that home run from Teo? 8th or 9th?
8th inning led off against Hoffman, yeah.
Yeah, they made it a 2-run ball game. And then the Dodgers decided for some reason to not go get Honeywell. And a lot of the comments before we even started, Mark, were what the hell, fire Dave Roberts. What the hell was that all about? You let Joe Kelly go a 1/3 of an inning, and then you don't go get Honeywell after 3 2/3. I mean, he was clearly gassed. He has not pitched that many innings for the Dodgers. It just kind of seemed like they were phoning it in at that point. It's like, we don't want to burn up the bullpen. This one's lost. So let's let Honeywell get some work in. One theory from Craig was maybe they're going to send him down and they, swan song, a nice farewell, that type of thing. But with Brusdar pulling the hammy on his first return after 8 pitches, I think they're going to have to make another decision because he's not coming back anytime soon from that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I was shocked at the miscommunication, it seemed like, between Roberts and Honeywell in the bullpen as to when they wanted him to come into the game. They finally got him in the game, I guess. But yeah, when I looked at it in the 8th inning, the 9th inning, I was shocked that they still had him out there. And I have no rooting interest, obviously, either way. I just thought that was a lot of work for one guy to go out there and pick up the pieces. Right. And the Phillies, throughout the night, Kyle Schwarber had put together really good at bats. Edmundo Sosa has been clutch for this Phillies team really all season long. For those that don't know, man, when Trey Turner was out for a month and a half, Eddie Sosa came in here, and all of a sudden he was hitting about 320 for the Phillies. So you didn't miss Trey Turner as much as you thought you'd miss Trey Turner. He gets another opportunity tonight, left-handed pitcher, obviously, and Clayton Kershaw on the hill. They decided to give Bryson Stott the night off, yet Brandon Marsh goes against the lefty. It is what it is. But Sosa comes up clutch for this Phillies team, and he just wrapped it around the foul pole there in right field at Dodger Stadium. So I was a little surprised Honeywell stayed out there, but you had seen the at-bats of these guys starting to put it together throughout the game, most notably Schwarber and Edmundo Sosa, and it capitalized with the back-to-back home runs there in the top of the 9th.
Yeah, as BC put it, a complete waste of a turtleneck tonight. The fact was he's pitched well, so I don't know. Maybe they wanted to stretch him to see if they can, start him or something. I don't know what that was. Just a bizarre decision across the board. It really just seemed like, whatever. this one's gone. Let him go. And, hopefully we can make something happen. But to give up back-to-back home runs in the 9th inning, that was a kick, right? Swift kick to the you-know-what. Dodgers fall. This series is now even. Phillies win at 6-2 and improve to 67-46, which I heard tonight is the best record in baseball after losing 8 of 10 or whatever they've done lately. That's pretty remarkable. So, kudos to them for keeping their head above water to the best record in baseball. So it's still going well. And, the Dodger fans are feeling pretty down, feeling pretty negative after this loss for a variety of reasons. One of them, the Padres won tonight and are now 4 games back. So we got comments early that the Dodgers would lose a series to the Diamondbacks, to the Padres, to the Phils, to the Pirates, and to the Reds. I don't know that would all necessarily hold up, but interesting thoughts if the season ended today. Mark, the good news is the season does not end today. There's still about 50 more to go. We're going to hit the first break. And when we come back, I'm going to tell you what would have helped the Dodgers in this game. I'm going to tell you what would have made a difference. Now, not necessarily that they win, but it would have helped. It was a head-scratching move that a lot of people in the chat have pointed out, and I'm going to mention that right after the break. He is Marc Farzetta in Philadelphia. I am Pete Fox here in Los Angeles, breaking down Dodgers Phils. Phils win it 6-2. All right, tonight's show brought to you in part by our friends at Supply House. Get supplies from the site that is made for skilled trades. Supplyhouse.com. Supplyhouse.com is the reliable way to order plumbing, HVAC, and electrical supplies online. Their easy-to-use website is packed with helpful resources for the latest product info to help you get the job done right. A lot of times, you go to find a part, especially if you're a DIYer. Now, I don't know if this helps DIYers. You have to be a professional potentially, but maybe not. Maybe if you're just trying to fix something at home, you can do it with supplyhouse.com. But knowing what the part is and where it goes and how it works is very, very helpful, for installation. And they have all that stuff right there on their website to get the job done right. Shop a complete inventory of over 200,000 parts from over 400 top brands to get your order delivered right to your door with fast shipping from coast to coast. Need help with an order? Get expert support and industry-leading service from the friendliest folks in the business and talk to a real person every time. I'm a big fan of that. Pros and skilled trades can get a competitive edge by joining supplyhouse.com's free Trade Masters program. Every trade master gets access to a dedicated phone line, free shipping, and discounts on every order. Join the thousands of trade pros already benefiting from their free membership at supplyhouse.com/TM. Order plumbing, HVAC, and electric supplies from anywhere with just a few clicks at supplyhouse.com. All right. Dodgers fall, Phils win to try to get back on track after going through a pretty ugly funk for the last 10 games. 6-2 the final. By the way, tonight's episode of the Locked On Dodgers, Locked On Phillies postcast crossover is brought to you by FanDuel. Make every moment more as the playoffs wind down. The sports stop sporting the way you like them. Well, head over to FanDuel. They're hooking you up all summer long, all customers long with a booster or bonus daily. That's right. There's something for everyone every day, all summer long. FanDuel.com to get started. Here's the thing that would have helped the Dodgers. A guy like Gavin Lux, who is red hot right now. I don't care if it's lefty-lefty. They don't pull Shohei when it's lefty-lefty. Gavin Lux is red hot. Let him go up there and try to get some base hits. It would have helped them tonight. I don't understand this idea of, whoa, we got to go lefty righty, unless your name is Shohei Ohtani, who by the way, 0 for 4 today and, had a decent night, good night, big night, whatever you want to call it, double and a home run yesterday, but, turns right around. He can't string together 2 or 3 good games. He has one big game like yesterday and then backs it up with an 0-fer. So they leave him in there. I think Gavin Lux would have been a nice addition to this lineup tonight.
Not to pour salt in the open wound, but that was acknowledged on the Phillies broadcast as well. When he got the pinch hit appearance there later in the ballgame, I think it was the last out of the game, as a matter of fact, when he got that appearance, it was noted that he's hitting something like 350 over the last week, and over the last 2 weeks, like 380, something like that for the Dodgers. So the Phillies felt like they caught a little bit of a break, at least, in not having him in the lineup throughout tonight's game. But yeah, it certainly seemed like when those numbers were brought to my attention later in the game, I'm like, okay, maybe they got a little bit of a break. We have similar I think every team that's in contention has similar guys that are on the bench that we're wondering why they're not getting more reps. I mentioned Brandon Marsh usually does not get the start against left-handed pitching, but with Austin Hayes being acquired by from the Orioles at the trade deadline, the Phillies seem really intent on getting Austin Hayes at bats against righties and lefties. And with that, they want less of Johan Rojas in center field and more of Brandon Marsh. And for Brandon Marsh to really figure it out as a guy that has not hit lefties well throughout his career. Bryson Stott's figured it out a little bit better, the Phillies second baseman, as far as hitting lefties, but they decided to give him the night off tonight and go with Edmundo Sosa. But yeah, to your point, Pete, looking at the Dodgers' perspective, I was very surprised that Lux did not get the go-ahead for tonight's game.
Yeah, it doesn't make a lot of sense. Just like the move to keep, Joe Kelly throws one batter and then let's go get Honeywell and let him pitch 3 2/3 innings. So I also don't understand that idea. They do this a lot with the Dodgers. They let it, someone gets into a jam, they go get him. Whoever finishes the frame very rarely comes back for the next frame. Most of the time. And that, like, you look at that particular situation, Joe Kelly looks good. Why not leave him out there and see what happens? You can still go get him, as long as, what's the rule now? You got to face 3 hitters or something. So, yeah. Unless it's the end of a frame, I don't understand it. Sometimes the moves made by the pitchers, by the manager for the pitcher, back and forth, in and out, based on analytics, to me, it's head scratching. And right now it's just frustrating. When it comes to playoff time, it is just stuff that sends you over the edge.
It's the up down, Pete. The up down. They don't like the up down. That's what gets you. It's no longer I think we're now through the period of pitch counts. Like, don't get me wrong, pitch counts still matter. They're very relevant. I'm not saying they're irrelevant, but now we're through like the next thing of being uber cautious with our pitchers, where it's not just about the pitches thrown. For instance, you mentioned Joe Kelly. He threw 5 pitches tonight? Yeah. And you can't sit him down and then have him stand back up, Pete. Oh, God, his arm will explode if you do that. But yeah, that's the latest thing now. They don't like the up downs. It happens with the Phillies, with Jose Alvarado in the season. It's happened with Jeff Hoffman. It has certainly happened a hell of a lot with Matt Strahm. Fortunately, he was able to do his job tonight. He's been having some struggles as of late. But the up downs are the latest craze in baseball, man. You can't have a pitcher sit down, get up, and resume what he was doing, apparently, unless they're a starter.
Well, here is some good news for Dodger fans. This was just kind of a cool stat. I think a lot of times we take for granted how good Freddy Freeman is. I know I see stats from Freddy Freeman that I'm like, he's the 3rd in all of baseball in that category. History of baseball kind of stats for this guy. And another one tonight, he had his 500th double, that double in the first inning, to go with over 300 home runs before the age of 35. And in that category are guys like Gehrig, Musial, Cabrera, Pujols. I mean, just legends of the game. I was watching the game with a buddy, and he was like, I saw Gehrig, but I don't recognize the rest of those names. And then I had to go research, and I was like, you don't recognize the rest of those names? He's not a big sports guy. I was like, Musial and Pujols and Cabrera. I mean, it's just remarkable what this guy has done in his career. Surefire Hall of Famer, without a doubt. And, a really good guy all in all, but pretty cool. 500 doubles, 300 home runs before the age of 35.
Mm-hmm. We watched him a lot in Atlanta, and he tortured the Phillies while he was in Atlanta. And just when we thought we were going to get a little bit of a break without Freddie Freeman, they go and get Matt Olson from the A's, who starts hitting bombs against the Phillies as well. But so much respect for Freddie Freeman. One hell of a ball player. I mean, you mentioned it. Hall of Famer, nothing else needs to be said as far as that goes. But no, also a class act on and off the field. And he has just been a dominant baseball player and has not really win. I mean, you're talking about a guy who was an MVP. You're talking about a guy who's already won a World Series. You're talking about a guy who plays a great first base as far as defense goes as well. So everything you would want in a first baseman when it comes to power, average, on base percentage, all that stuff, Freddie Freeman does it tenfold. Big fan of his. I'm just glad he's out of the NL East.
Another nice highlight for the Dodgers was the Pages throw from right field. Gunned down Bryce Harper on a rope. Jessica Mendoza pointed out that you don't see that all that often for two reasons. The right fielder doesn't have that kind of gun, and the runner doesn't challenge right fielders usually because they're playing it too safe. We talked about it last time you and I did a show with regard to the Dodgers third base coach. Dino Ebel at times is a little timid over there and, doesn't send guys in that kind of a situation. So it was cool that the Phillies guy did go and send Harper. Maybe Harper went on his own, but it was a heck of a throw from Andy Pajas to throw him out there.
I wouldn't be surprised if Harper just went on his own, and it was pretty interesting. Harper thought he beat it. I'm sure you saw the same thing where he's shaking his head like, no, review it. Phillies, they back him up. They say, yeah, let's review it. They review it, and I don't know if it was just inconclusive or what. Looked like maybe he got him on the tag there. Maybe he didn't, whatever.
Too close to reverse.
Yeah, exactly. But what I loved about it was Harper just went like, he made it look like, oh, damn. All right, fine. And then it looked like, I think it was Pajas was walking by him to the dugout, and he looked at Pajas and went like, all right, man, good one for you. That's a good throw. That's a hell of a throw.
It really could have gone either way for sure. Yeah. Another thing that was a little surprising for me in this game was the home run from Teo Hernandez. Like, he didn't seem to get it all, but I think we saw that in the home run derby. Like, he would hit those balls out, and you're like, well, that's not getting out. And then it would just carry. He has this sneaky strength and power that the balls just carry. And, I think Dodger fans are really a big fan. They love this guy and they want him to stay around. But I think the thing hanging over his head is the contract is still up in the air, and the Dodgers have not inked him to any sort of long-term deal. At this point, he's a one and done guy for the Dodgers. And right now, I feel like he's the most consistent hitter on this team who isn't named Gavin Lux, because Shohei is up and down, up and down, up and down. Shohei has big nights like last night where he hits a home run and a double, and we forget about, the 0 for 12s and the 0 for 13s. And the fact is his average is still solid, and he does his job. But I feel like Teo, although he has more strikeouts, is more consistent.
Yeah, here's what was really interesting to me about that at bat that you're talking about there in the eighth inning. Well, first off, Jeff Hoffman, from a Phillies perspective, has struggled over his last three outings now. At least a run in each of his last three outings. The one that has been haunting Phillies fans is his outing against the Seattle Mariners, where he allowed 4 runs. All-star Jeff Hoffman allowed 4 runs in his 1 inning of work against the Mariners. Then he goes out there tonight, and he gives up the home run to Teoscar. Now, the interesting part about that was a real lazy, non-breaking slider. It wasn't like Jeff Hoffman's 98-mile-per-hour fastball that he just left out of the middle of the plate that was blasted. Teoscar went down, got that pitch that didn't break enough, and put it 424 feet to dead center field. And you're right. As far as the ball carrying, I thought Brandon Marsh was going to have a play at the wall, at least keep it interesting. That ball was up on the netting right there at Chavez Ravine. I couldn't believe how far that ball traveled, especially that it was a low-velocity slider from Jeff Hoffman on that particular pitch. I think it was the second pitch of that at bat. But, yeah, that just kept carrying. And then I also made sure that I double-checked. I was like, yeah, that was the leadoff hitter, so nobody was on base. The game stays in the Phillies' favor in that regard.
All right, last break. I have another fantastic tease here. Get ready. I'm going to tell you after the break, Mark, where this game went south for the Dodgers.
Fantastic.
I've zeroed it in on one very specific moment, and I will tell you what that is after the break. Worked out bad for us, good for you. A 6-2 win for the Phils. He's Marc Farzetta in Philly. I'm Pete Fox here in LA. It's the LockedOn Dodgers Phillies postcast crossover on the LockedOn Sports LA and Philly YouTube channel. You can also listen to us on the LockedOn Dodgers and Phillies podcast feed.
Now I want to tell you about the great people of FanDuel. I love sports. You love sports. We all love sports. Sports are a great time, but this time of year, a lot of times, without the big games going on overseas, sports aren't sporting like they used to. You know what I'm saying? But this summer, FanDuel is hooking up all customers. Now listen to what I'm saying here. All customers. Not all new customers or all current customers. All customers with a boost or a bonus daily. That's right. There's something for everyone every day, all summer long. You can get in on the action when you're talking about World Series contenders for your LA Dodgers. They're going off right now on FanDuel at plus 320. Phillies going off right now plus 500. New York Yankees plus 500 as well. Looking around the MVP race, Shohei Ohtani at minus 1,300 right now. Kendall Marte right there of the Diamondbacks going off plus 650. Bryce Harper plus 4,000. What? That'll be climbing after tonight, I'm sure. And how about the Cy Young Award for the Phillies fans out there? Let's not forget about our man Zach Wheeler coming off a great performance against the Seattle Mariners. Right now, Chris Sale still has the lead at plus 110 for the Cy Young voting, and Zach Wheeler at plus 220 in the National League. Tyler Glass now at plus 7,000 for you Dodgers fans in L.A. But that's what it's looking like right now on FanDuel. So head over to FanDuel.com. Start making the most out of your summer at FanDuel.com. FanDuel, official sports betting partner of Major League Baseball.
All right. Speaking of FanDuel, last night, I think BC or somebody in the comments asked what the over-under for Clayton Kershaw's runs were, and I said it's going to be right around 4. I think it went off at 4.5. So if you went under on that, easy win tonight because he didn't allow a run. No, he did one run. Yeah,
one run.
Yeah, a good outing for him, which is nice to see. We now are worried about what's up with Brusdar Graterol's hamstring. And that, to me, is the turning point of this game because that guy started crying and you could tell he was in pain. And everyone was like, oh, damn, this guy's been working for 6 months to get back into the rotation, get back on the mound. Comes out, throws 8 pitches and pulls his hamstring. And everyone was like, oh, as if it was, the Cy Young Award winner. He's a good pitcher and he could bring heat. I get it, and it sucks that the emotional part of this story is what's hanging over his head. But I think the Dodger team was like, ooh, they just lost their entire motivation. The game just went south for them right after that. Now, to their credit, they kind of got it back. They got a little bit of energy. But Honeywell came in, was just like, like fart in church kind of a thing, it was just like there was like, oh no, they couldn't get past the fact that Brusdar Graterol just went through that.
Yeah, and, it was a rough spot. It was certainly, yeah.
You got to be more resilient than that. I'm sorry, and I get it. I feel sorry for the guy, and it's a bummer, but you can't let that bring the whole team's energy down to where you're like, oh well, we'll get him tomorrow. I feel the Dodgers, to me, have these moments where they just lose motivation and focus and energy and grit and determination. They're just kind of like going through the motions. Usually it starts at the beginning of the game and will continue throughout. Tonight they started off well. It feels like when they play the Phils, they know that there's a little bit more on the line here because the Phils are a contender. They get up for it. Dave Roberts talked about it in the pregame that Shohei Ohtani seems to have a different approach, a different focus, a different attack at the plate. He's not quite as willy-nilly, he's a little bit more his we talked about it last time. Shohei's approach is very at times wide open, front side pulling out. He's not focused, he's not contained, and Dave Roberts was saying he feels like Shohei was just paying a little bit more attention and focusing and trying to be a better hitter during the series because he knows the Phils are a good team. Tonight we didn't see a lot of that. He was 0 for 4. But the thing is that the Dodgers' energy in this series looked to be pretty good until Brusdar Graterol pulled his hamstring, and everyone was just like, wah, wah, game over. I was just like, come on.
It was a weird thing to go back to your turning point there, and I think you're dead on with it because that's when the tides of the game really did change. Phillies were up 1-0 going into that 6th inning. Harper fouled out to third. Bohm got the single, which, by the way, 24 straight games for Bohm getting on base. That's the longest active streak in baseball. Then Real Muto goes up 3-1 on Graterol. That's where he pulls his hammy or whatever happens, so they have to help him off the field. It's a 3-run count. Honeywell has to come in, throws 1 pitch, walks JT Real Muto. So now you got 2 runners on all of a sudden, first and second with 1 out. Castellanos delivers with the RBI single to center field. Bohm scores. JT gets the third. Sosa then comes up later with a 2-run single, makes it a 4-0 ball game. So that 6th inning, if Honeywell, I guess, wasn't mentally ready to get into the game, I don't know what explains it, but it didn't look like bottom line he was ready to go. It seems like a lot of times when teams have to make that quick adjustment, the guy coming in, it's got to be some mental hurdle they have to be able to clear, and Honeywell wasn't able to clear it tonight.
That's a great point. Yeah, you need a special dude for that moment, right? You can't be it's almost like you have to be extra focused because you don't have your normal routine. Right. You can warm up on the mound for as long as you want, and that's always weird because they're like, what's the right number? I'm sure they know, but it probably feels different. So they're like, oh, I maybe need to take a few more because I can have as many. It's like being at a buffet. I can eat all the crab legs I want. Okay, well, I'm gonna eat too many crab legs. So I don't know. I mean, maybe he took too many, warm up pitches. It just didn't seem like he was prepared for that moment. You're right. Coming in the middle of the count is got to be really tough, especially when you're in the hole like that 3-1. So that without a doubt was unfortunate for the Dodgers. But the fact that they got to within 2, had the Teoscar Hernandez home run, that was nice to see. At least they didn't completely, roll up into a shell and go away. They had a little bit of fight, and even though it wasn't enough, it was something. There was a little bit of energy there late in the game when they needed it, and they didn't completely wither and just disappear. So I think there was a little tiny bit of silver lining there, but just an unfortunate occurrence for Gratterwall, without a doubt. There's some comments that maybe Gratterwall looked heavy. I don't know about all of that. I don't know what he weighed before, but I do know that his hair was longer. That was one thing that was for sure. So maybe the hair weighed him down a little bit, but I was just glad to see that it wasn't the shoulder, which is what his problem before today. So they're going to be without him for a while. We'll be lucky if we see him again this season.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it certainly seemed up until that point that it was one of those games that could just go either way. Like the pitching had been on point for both Kershaw and Sanchez. Then you go to your bullpen. Kelly does his job. He records his out with the 5 pitches. And then all of a sudden they had to make that abrupt change. And the Phillies, I mean, look, to the Phillies' credit, I will say that they were able to take advantage of the opportunity. Too many times, especially, I mean, look at this. You've talked a lot about what's been going on with the Phillies over the last 10, 15 games, whatever. Really, ever since the Phillies played the Dodgers, they've been god-awful. They had that 3-game sweep in Philly, and then everything fell off the rails. But here's the real troubling thing when you talk about the Phillies. Phillies had this amazing start to the season, of course, best record in baseball. They were holding on to that for a very long time. But the Phillies have not been that dominant team that we saw at the beginning of the season for a very long time. Just something for Phillies fans to keep in mind, something for the Dodgers fan to keep in mind as well, real quick. The Phillies are 2 games under 500 since May 24th. Like, think about that. They had another West Coast – I mean, if you could include Colorado, they had to go west of the Mississippi. They played Colorado. They lost against Colorado. They played the Giants. They lost in San Francisco. They've been 2 games under 500, including tonight's victory, since May 24th. This is a long time the Phillies haven't been that dominant team. They have timed their struggles well. As they've struggled, many other teams have struggled. They get back to, I believe, 6.5 games over the Braves in the division right now, a 1.5 up on the Dodgers at this point, going into tomorrow's game to wrap up this series in the National League. 1.5, I believe it is, up on the Dodgers right now. But they have pick their moments wisely. It seems like when they're struggling, everyone else has been struggling. But they had a miraculous catch by Brandon Marsh in Seattle. I don't know if you saw it. And a lot of people, myself included, are thinking of all the things you needed to turn the tides. It's not going to be a bottom of the 9th grand slam walk-off. It's going to be some miraculous blindfolded catch Brandon Marsh made in center field to help preserve a 1-0 victory there, or a 1-0 lead at that point in the game. So a lot of people are looking at it right now. This could be the changing of the guard for the Phillies in order to get back on track to being a dominant baseball team again.
Well, there is no doubt, Mark, that tomorrow's game is going to be a good one. It means a lot for both of these teams. I think we understand that. It should be a good pitching matchup. Phillips versus Gavin Stone. And, of course, we'll be breaking it down afterwards. Are you good for tomorrow as well?
I am good for tomorrow, sir. Absolutely.
All right. Here's one other thing I will leave you with. I don't know if you caught this. Buddy Christ, I think he's one of your guys, thinks one of us talks a lot. I'm like, well, we only have about 30, 35 minutes. I feel like we split this up pretty evenly as far as talking. I don't know if any one of us talked any more than the other, but I think that could be true for both of us.
I think, as everyone knows, Buddy Christ is from Philly. Right. But he's a regular on my postcast. Buddy Christ, good to hear from you as always. We try to split it, my friend. We're good. I think we're good.
So he's throwing stones at me that I talk a lot. All right, buddy. I'll try.
That's hilarious.
I'll try to split it up more evenly tomorrow, because the way we break this down, just so you know, behind the curtain a little bit, the home team guy kind of drives. So when it was Philly at Citizens Bank a few weeks ago, Marc was driving.
Yeah.
And tonight, since we're in LA, I'm driving. So maybe because of that, I had a few more words, just a few.
Plus, you have, as the losing team, you have more content. You got to air the grievances.
Yes, exactly. Right. Exactly. I got to get it off my chest. All right. That's Marc Farzetta. I'm Pete Fox. Locked On Dodgers, Locked On Phillies postcast on the Locked On Sports LA and Philly YouTube channel. You can also listen to us on the Locked On Dodgers and Philly podcast feed. We thank you for being everydayers. You know what you get here on Locked On, your team every day. Marc Farzetta, Pete Fox. We are done for tonight. We will talk to you again tomorrow after the rubber game of this series. Marc, have a good one. And we'll talk to you tomorrow. I just got to figure out which one of these little green things I pushed to close the show. Is it this one? Is it that one? I don't know which one it is. I don't have a close. I don't know. Oh, there it is. No, that's not it. Which one do you hit for close? Do you know? I don't know. Here, I'll just do the one from my normal thing. All right. Take care, dude. Have a good night. We'll talk tomorrow.